All right, good afternoon everybody. It's what, 10 minutes after 1. My dad, who has already left, and I have just finished inspecting several of our hives. Noticeably this one on the end, I don't know if you remember on one of my previous shorter videos, but I pointed out some issues that we had with the bearding in the back with a ball of bees at the top, and we had a gap in the in between two supers, and they were coming in and out there. And then we also had some screen at the base that I talked about needed to be stapled into place. 2 of those 3 issues came from the same problem, which was the box itself. So as you can see, what we've done is we've replaced it. It had a hole cut out in the front, so since we didn't have another box that was cut out like that, we instead replaced a bottom board at the base there, and so now they're able to come and go as they please. The foragers, if you look right there at the split between the bottom box and the second box up, give me just a second, I just had a bee try to fly into my mouth, so I am going to put my my coat on. As you can see, yeah, I was thinking that they were done being mad at me. She is not. Boy, she is all over me. So, we're gonna fix it. Oh, look. That was gonna be fun. Can you see her? Yeah, she was inside the jacket. Boy, when you make them mad, they don't forgive easily. So, here we go. We'll get that on. We'll be a little bit more confident as I talk to you guys, and stick around the hives. I'm not so worried about being stung in the hands or anything like that. I didn't bring any gloves. And I do have blue jeans on, so I'm not worried about that. So anyway, I don't even remember what we were talking about. She really did. She got caught up in my mustache and beard. People tell me I should shave. I just stopped myself from being stung on the tongue. I think I'm keeping it. All right, there we go. And now I can actually hang out a little bit closer. But y'all all know how pretty I am. I'm gonna flip this thing around so we can talk about, look at what we're talking about. And there they are. All right, so as you can see, anyway, we were talking about the foragers are coming back. Oh, she flew off. They're coming back, and so they're still used to being able to get into the hive at that split. They cannot now, but they haven't quite figured that out yet. So they will. They'll work themselves around to the front, and it won't be a problem. In the meantime, you can see that they're still coming and going with lots and lots and lots of pollen. Let's get in here a little bit closer. See that? And if you pay close enough attention, you can actually see several different colors. That's actually just multiple pollen sources. And that's pretty exciting. Since this is, I know I'm doing it on Facebook Live right now, but I tried to do it on my YouTube channel, and YouTube said I didn't meet certain requirements. I was not prepared for that little hiccup, so I don't know what those requirements are. So instead I'm doing Facebook Live, and then I will I'll just upload it to YouTube a little later on. So found a different way to get around that. Anyway, so there's the pollen there. I was gonna take us into the hive, but I realized that even though I have my smoker here, and I have a brick there that I just tripped on, that was exciting. I have fuel in the bag there. I have my handy dandy little hive tool here. All tools that you need if you're going to go into beehives. The smoke kind of, you've heard that the smoke keeps them calm. causes them to want to take on honey. They tend to take on so much that they're not able to fly, but it does in fact keep them calm. At least it keeps more of them off of you, which is the effect that you're after. And the hive tool, you're not going to get into the hive very well. I mean, I guess you could use a knife or a screwdriver or something silly like that, but this is capable of helping you get into the hive in the least destructive manner possible. And so the hive tool is extremely convenient. So you need the fuel, you need the hive tool, you need the smoker. You also need a way to light the fuel, which I don't have. So we are not going into another one of these hives. We're just going to have to deal with me pointing at them and talking about them. You can also see that we've got several on the back here. Now they are not able to come and go back here, but again, the foragers don't know that just yet. They're still in the process of learning. You can see several making a trip around. They're coming and going there, so they're looking for that entrance. They'll figure it out and they'll move their way back around to the front. Let's see. All right, so we had 14 hives. Let's talk about that for a little bit. We had 14 colonies when we first started out here, and now we are down to 12. We came out and we found that we had some pretty significant losses in 2 of our colonies. Up to and including both queens were gone. That sucks, yes. But it's not a complete and total loss. Both of those colonies still had resources that we were then able to use to strengthen up several other of the colonies. So it's a cruddy situation that we made work a little bit better. Excuse me. This colony, for instance, was pretty light. We had a queen, she was in there, she was laying, not a whole lot of food, and to be perfectly honest with you, there were not a whole lot of bees, and it didn't look like they were going to be getting a big burst of bees either. So we actually found some brood in some of these other colonies, and that's the capped young bees that they haven't hatched out yet. And so we took those 3 frames of brood, gave them to that colony. So now that queen has a good, strong winter colony that's coming. So they'll be able to pull through the winter. We've also given them some food resources. And so that boosts them up. So from 14 to 12, when it comes to keeping bees, you are going to experience loss. There's absolutely nothing that you can do to prevent loss. It's actually it's in their nature. What happens when they go into winter, they'll spend the first half of winter consuming very little resources. The queen is not laying any new brood, and they're just kind of surviving, doing the staying in the ball, staying tight, staying warm. But then about halfway into winter, as it starts to get really, really cold, they begin to consume a lot. They go into their food sources that have made it the entire winter without being touched, and they just start devouring. And the queen starts laying like crazy. They're building up for the spring. She starts laying, they start consuming the food so that they can produce the heat. They consume the energy necessary to produce the heat in the colony to keep the larvae warm. Many of those colonies out in the woods, they get in the hollows of the trees, many of those colonies end up actually starving themselves to death. So in nature, without the interference of the beekeeper, bees die. And I'm saying that because as a beekeeper myself for the last 30 years, it's been incredibly hard to come out and find dead hives, and you can't help but beat yourself up. What did I do wrong? Even today with the 2 hives, we spent 10 minutes just talking to each other about, did we screw up? Was there something else that we could have done? How could we have possibly done better by these bees that we wouldn't lose them? The reality is nothing. I mean, you guys have seen, for what I've posted and what I've talked about on Facebook, you've seen that we've been very active. We've done everything that we possibly can. sometimes they're just going to die. So the best thing that we can do is take those resources and help strengthen up the rest of the colonies so that we don't have total loss. We just manage the loss. That's really all that it comes down to. Let's talk about something more positive, huh? Let's see. Down here, these are where we had a colony here, and a colony here. This is what we had our, these were our what we called leg biter queens. Basically what happens is they've got a genetic disposition to biting the legs off the varroa mite. So they're clean bees, and they clean each other, and in cleaning each other, when they come across varroa mite on each other, they bite those legs off. The mother queen is in here, and then we took larvae from this colony here, and we did splits. We made 4 total colonies with the parent and then 3 daughter colonies. We lost 2 of those. However, while we were in here today, we in fact found the queen. Dad was able to snag a couple of those pictures. I'm waiting on those to come to me because we found her and really wanted to be able to brag about her. She was the only queen that we saw today of all the hives that we went into. But that's honestly not unexpected. Here we go. I'm gonna come down here. This hive right here, particularly proud of because they are strong. They are in fact so strong. They have so many resources in here, and you can see you can see some of these girls have pollen on their back legs, so they're still bringing in resources. We also have that food over there. I can't even see it from here, so I doubt you can see it on the camera. But we've got the orange buckets over there with the sugar water. We're making more sugar water for them, so they're just bringing in resources. So what we actually did today was, instead of having the 2 boxes, we've actually added a third. This is actually the one that we've added. We put that here in the middle because they have to walk across it, and so they'll get more accustomed to it, and they'll start depositing some more resources in there. So extremely strong hive. You can see we've got an entrance for them up top too, so they can come and go. That gives them a nice breeze as well in there, so they can help keep the inside cool while we're still in the warmer weeks. We'll probably switch that box out before we go into winter, so that they're able to regulate temperatures. I don't know if anybody has any questions while I'm going through this, but please feel free. I'll try to keep an eye out on my screen. Please feel free to put them in the comment boxes. And again, remember that I'm going to be putting this on my YouTube channel, so I will, hey Becky, I will continue to review for questions or comments. Because my intention is to try to do a live stream once a week. I'm even going to do that in the winter time. We won't be coming out necessarily to the bees, but we'll be going through some of the what do we do during the winter, because the bees are inside. They're dormant. They're not doing anything outside. We don't want to go into them because we open up and expose the inside of the colony to the external cold temperatures. Inside, they keep that temperature regulated, so they're not dealing with the extreme colds outside. The brood won't have a chance of dying. And that's what we want. We want to protect that. So we will not go in during the winter. Exceptions, warm days, we'll go in, do a quick inspection, feed if we need to. But otherwise, we're going to leave them alone. There's still plenty of work to be done for beekeepers. My intention for the YouTube channel is honestly just to talk about the bees. I mean, you guys need a Doctor Who themed box. You know what? Actually, that being said, neat little piece of information. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but these boxes that have the artwork on them were actually painted by my dear mother. She apparently... sorry, I just got a donation request. Don't donate to politics even on a whim, because they are never going to stop bugging you. I mean, like, I gave you the 20 bucks I'm going to give you, man. Leave me alone. Anyway, So yeah, she lays up in bed, or she sits at the kitchen table or whatever, and she goes to painting. Those of you who know her personally, yeah, we do have a lot more boxes, but those of you who know her personally knows that, you know that I don't know that she could stop if she wanted to. She gets a desire in her, and she just starts to painting. And she comes up with some really beautiful stuff. I will mention, she'll probably watch this video, at least part of it. Maybe she'll watch it this far into it, and then before she gets bored with me. And so I'll say out loud, hey Mom, Doctor Who theme is one of the suggestions that's been made. I gotta admit, Becky, I know that Doctor Who, like the person of Doctor Who changes. That's about all I know about Doctor Who. I've never not been a fan. I've just never really been exposed to Doctor Who. And so I don't, it's outside of my wheelhouse. Yeah, the boxes are quite gorgeous. And these are just a few. You know, I don't know if you remember on some of the bigger boxes, she's actually taken a soldering iron and burned in the artwork into some of those larger boxes. And those have come out quite gorgeous too. We actually really get excited about her finished product and being able to bring them out to the yard. And we talk about which yards we want to put the boxes in because they'll fit best, they'll look the prettiest there, that kind of thing. It's a legitimate conversation that gets had, which is kind of cool. Expose myself to some Doctor Who. I think I might be facing a charge if I do that. I don't know if that's what you meant or not, but still, yeah, I guess I'll watch some Doctor Who. I just had a bee land on my mask. Just because a bee lands on you, by the way, a lot of folks are just terrified of bees because they have stingers in their abdomens. Just because she lands on you doesn't necessarily mean that you're about to get stung, especially when you're not near a colony. What you're dealing with out there is a forager. When you're dealing with a forager, her sole focus is getting whatever she's foraging, whether it's water or nectar or pollen, whatever she's foraging, she's focused on just getting that and bringing it back to the colony. So she's not feeling protective. She's not defending the colony, which is what it is all about. As far as the stings are concerned, it's about defending the colony, because the bee knows, she knows, even if it's just instinctively, she knows that she is going to lose her stinger once she uses it. So she's not trying to die on an individual level. She's only trying to act in the protection of the overall colony. So if the overall colony is not nearby, then it can't possibly be threatened by her knowledge. So she's not going to sting you. Many times what's happening is they fly around you as they buzz near your face, or they might land on your hand or something like that. They're honestly just testing you to see if you are a pollen source. Remember, they see heat and you produce heat. So you just may be a giant walking rose bloom to them. That's an oversimplification, but it fits for our purposes. She may just wonder if you're a flower. She's going to land on you. She's going to find out. She also may just be tired and you look comfortable. It's a compliment. It's okay. Right now, because I'm near the hives and I've gone into the hives and I've, several of the hives today, and I've done a lot of rearranging and changing up of what they are familiar with. I may still have some in here that are a little upset with me, and so they may be buzzing me to let me know that I'm getting too close to them. By the way, feel free to come and go as you please while I do this video chat. My intention is to record for quite some time because I have learned that longer videos with YouTube serve you better in the long run. So I'm trying to do, 30 minutes. If we go longer, I'm not upset with that. I just want to get views. For those of you that do not know, you smell... For those of you who do not know, Becky apparently smells like a giant flower, which is fantastic. But for those of you who do not know, I do have a YouTube channel. You can search it up at Buzzin' Blossoms Bee Farm. I've also shared several links on to some of the videos and to the page itself on my Facebook. And of course, I'll do that again periodically. You know, the YouTubers that talk about monetization of YouTube and all that kind of stuff, the ones that talk about how to be successful on YouTube, many of them have talked about you've got to be your own hype person. So pretend that I am hyped. I'll look that up later and figure out what that means, and I'll find out some way to apply it to myself. But pretend like you love me and go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and hit the bell so that you can get notifications when I'm doing new videos. Again, I'll figure out what I'm walking over here because I'm going to show you some stuff that we took out of one of the colonies. But I'll figure out the way to TikTok. You know, actually, I know what it is now, but I honestly thought people were mispronouncing the little candies, the little mints that you can get, Tic Tacs, and I thought it was some sort of teenager butchering of that. Turns out I was wrong, but no, I do not TikTok. Yeah, okay, so okay, let's talk about the TikTok thing. I'm gonna focus on this. To my understanding, TikTok is basically a bunch of teenagers that copy each other's dances. And apparently the president is upset with TikTok. I don't know anything about it. A great way to hype my... So there's no expectation of Justin dancing on TikTok then, is that correct? Because on the list of things that are never going to happen, me dancing is way up there. So Becky, we'll talk more about TikTok. If it is a great way, if it is a great way then for me to promote the channel, then I'm definitely not uninterested. I'll get more information from you. That said, what we're looking at here is what we call burr comb. It was comb in, oh, I don't know if you can see or not, but buzzing around inside my sleeve is a bee. We are going to focus our attention on helping, yeah, okay, good, she's out. We're gonna help her out of there. All right, check out yours. I'll pull that up once I'm done with the live feed, Becky. I'll take a look at it because that is pretty cool. I do want to be able to hype the YouTube channel and get some views, get some followers, that sort of thing. Apparently, within the first, within 365 days, whatever period that, whenever that begins, within a 365-day period, you need to have reached 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 new subscribers. So if you have, like right now I've got 20 subscribers, and if you have 20, but your 365-day period begins again, you actually have to have 1,000 in that 365-day period and 4,000 hours of watched video before you can potentially be approached by YouTube for ads and stuff like that. There are other ways to make money and all that kind of stuff, and that's not what this channel is. That's not what I'm going to be about today. But anyway, that's what I have found. So yeah, more ways to advertise, the happier I'm going to be. With this burr comb, this is stuff we had some spacers in between several of the supers, and those were intended for being able to do food. We pollen patties, that sort of thing. We were able to do that, airflow, that sort of thing. So the intention is to help the colonies out, and honestly, we found that for what we needed them for, they were extremely helpful. We left them on a little bit too long in this colony alone, and so they were able to build in that empty space. Yeah, and you know, Scott, there are other ways to monetize. I mean, like for instance, I could talk with companies, and if I've got enough viewers, I've got enough subscribers, I've got enough hours watched, they would be willing to allow me to advertise their product, and I can actually make money that way as well. So there are several options. I just know that that's a way. And right now on my very first video, none of those decisions have been made. This is all actually just kind of a beta test. They built this burr comb in the negative spaces, or the empty spaces, and they filled it with, as you can see, they filled it with honey. This was from that first, that front hive that I talked about being very strong, lots and lots of resources. So instead of taking this home and potentially letting it go to waste, we've decided to leave it out here, and you can see that bees have begun to gather up on it, and they will now take these resources back to their individual colonies. So even with finding that burr comb and being kind of annoyed that, you know, oh man, I wish we would have taken that off sooner, you know, whatever, it's not a bad thing, in the sense that we are now able to take those resources and give them back to the bees. So a lot about beekeeping is taking the potentially bad and finding creative ways to make it good. And that's kind of what we did. You know, on the last, the little 3-minute video that I posted on my channel, and actually posted in Facebook, we had come out, y'all got to watch me get stung on the wrist, that was exciting. But we came out and we just kind of did a visual inspection, and we thought, okay, so here are some of the needs that we have. Let's address that. One of the needs that we had, for instance, 7 of our colonies had these green tops, and then 7 of them did not. As you can see now, we have replaced each of these tops now are green. So that means that we've got a good seal at the top. The bees aren't coming and going. More importantly, they don't have multiple entrances that they have to guard from predators, wasps, yellow jackets, that sort of thing. So that's kind of fun. We were able to get that taken care of today. Dad, I saw that you logged in. I don't know if you're still there or not, but I was letting them know on the channel earlier that after all that talk we did about making sure I had stuff to go into the colonies, I never did get that lighter off of you. So I'm not going in because I've been stung twice today, guys, by the way. And so that was fun. That's why I was trying to get the girl out of my sleeve earlier. Do you have any questions at this time? I want to make sure that I'm providing great information to you, or at least entertaining information to you, but I also want to kind of direct this in any way that you guys want to see it. So please feel free to let me know what interests you, what confuses you, what concerns you, that sort of thing. See, we got a couple of holes here as well for them to go. These are all on the same, these are both on the same box, but they are flat using them. And I well, thank you, brother. And I love the fact, see, now here's some white pollen right there, and I love the fact that there are so many different colors. I've seen 2 or 3 different colors of pollen coming into each of these colonies, and that's exciting for me. What process do you use to extract the honey from the comb? Okay, so the process that we use, and there are several, I mean, one of the earliest, actually probably the earliest process, was they would simply take the comb out and smash it up and strain the honey out, or just break off pieces and shove it in their mouth and go to chewing, which, by the way, is really fun. It's really cool. It's really delicious. It's just a fun experience to be able to pop comb into your mouth and chew it like bubble gum. You can't blow bubbles, by the way. That that doesn't work. Ask me how I know. But so what we do with the Langstroth hive, I know I've just mispronounced that, but honestly I'm tired, so forgive me. But with the Langstroth hive, and that's where we get the, well, actually I can show you over here. We've got some resources. But Langstroth developed this hive concept with the 10 frames. This is a 5 frame, so it's half the size. But he was able to recognize that the bees had, when they built their comb naturally, they had space between the comb, and it was pretty consistent, you know, between each of the comb pieces, how much space they had. So he determined that if you build a box and you build your frames that allow enough space for the bees to build that comb out, like so. And now this here was up against a wall. We've taken it out, but it was up against one of the walls, and so you can see that they built the wax out. They built the comb out until it touched the wall, and then they connect it to the wall. That's actually just more support for them, for the comb. It's going to hold a lot of weight. You've never picked one of these things up when they're full of honey, but these puppies get heavy. Anyway, so long story short, he designed this hive concept, or created this hive concept that we now use today. So what we're able to do is we take these frames out, and we'll just, for the sake of this conversation, we'll say that this is filled with honey. You can see actually right there in that little space, those two are going at it, but you can see right there that you got some capped honey on it. Well, they do that all the way across, and what we will do is we'll take a capping knife, we'll cut those caps off, and then we've got an extractor. We got a centrifugal force extractor. We stick those frames in there, evenly spaced. They've got cages built in. You stick the frames down in that, and then you just spin the honey out. It slings out onto the wall, drains down to the bottom where we have a valve. We put that through from the valve into a bucket with a strainer on the top. It's honey. It's naturally produced by insects out in nature, or in our case, these hive bodies, which are as close to nature as we can possibly get them, by the way. We try very hard as beekeepers to give the bees natural feeling space. We don't want them to be stressed. We have the frames in there, which is different than you would find in a tree, obviously. That should go without saying, but those frames are there to give them that feeling while allowing us as beekeepers to manipulate the hive as we see necessary. But once we cut those caps off, we strain, we spin that honey out on both sides. You empty one side, you got to turn it around, spin it again, and empty out the other side. Once we've done that, it pours out of the valve into, we use food safe 5-gallon buckets with strainers on top, and we get out any of the excess wax cappings, honestly, bees, that sort of thing that might have gotten into the honey. We strain it out so that all we have left is that honey, and then we bottle it up. That's it. Processed honey that you'll buy in many grocery stores. Now, a lot of grocery stores, I do have to give some credit, a lot of grocery stores have gone to an organic, or what they're labeling organic, because that's the popular thing these days, is to buy everything organic. And so a lot of stores have gone back to a natural honey, so they're not processing it as heavily anymore. But a lot of times what you'll find is, at the store, you'll find processed honey, and they've just cooked the daylights out of it. Radio edit for YouTube purposes. But they just cook the daylights out of it, and they kill all of the enzymes, all of the pollen, everything that makes the honey honey. They kill that. Sometimes they'll even add flavors to it, or add, additives to stretch that honey out. They cut it, if you will. Sorry for the reference, but they do. They stretch that out, and they make it something else that they then bottle up and call honey, because it originated in a beehive. For us, and for the organic honey that you're buying, honestly, from a chain grocery store, you're buying it at a heavy markup. Always support local. If you're in the Louisville area, obviously I would love for you to reach out to me for honey. If you're not in the Louisville area, I strongly encourage you. Beekeepers are everywhere, guys. Beekeepers are everywhere. So I strongly encourage you to find a local beekeeper, or at least a shop, a mom and pop shop nearby that sells honey from said local beekeeper, and support them. We work our tails off out here. We love it. Wouldn't have it any other way. But it costs heavy. So support local, buy from them. Even if you can find it organic in the store, let's face it, that money's going to a chain or corporate. Yeah, no, not true, and don't necessarily need that rumor. Thank you so very much. My brother Scott, everybody. Yeah, no. Anyway, so that's, Becky, to answer your question, that's our process for honey. It's as hands-off as we possibly can. We handle the frames, of course. We cut the, yeah, exactly, shop small, support small. We cut the caps off, we extract that, we strain that, or filter that really is another synonym for it. And then we bottle it. There's no heat, there's no processing other than that. We certainly do not do additives. The closest we may do to an additive is one honey style combined with another honey style, simply because they happen to both be in the same frame. That's it. But it's all natural honey. It's all natural processing, and we do it in a clean environment with clean equipment and all that kind of stuff too. Which, that too, by the way, is a large portion of the fun of being a beekeeper. As you're operating, honey gets everywhere. You just can't help it. We actually have to work in a sealed room, not sealed completely. It's not like it's airtight or sterile or anything like that mess. I'm just talking about, we'll work in the garage, we close the garage door. Because once that smell gets out, whether you've got bees in the area yourself or you've got feral colonies nearby, once that scent gets out there, the bees will locate you, and then they're coming. They want that honey. I mean, good grief. They get that nectar, they heavily process that nectar as far as adding their own enzymes to it from their honey sacs, and fanning their wings to evaporate that water out there to get it to the right consistency. They do a lot of work to that nectar to get it ready to be stored as honey. So if they can just get their hands on honey, that's that much work that's that much less work that they have to do. So they are coming. So we seal the doors. That said, honey gets everywhere. And as you work, you get the benefit of being able to enjoy the honey. It's one of the reasons why I volunteer to cook all the time or grill all the time. It's because I get to eat the food while I'm working, and nobody else gets to do that because they're not doing any of the work. It's the same thing. But man, it's good. But it's also sugar. You are eating a ton of sugar. So by the time you are done with the extracting, you're also done with that sugar rush, and so then you get that sugar crash and whatever. Anyway, it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the enjoyment of beekeeping. Let's see. Oh, nope, wrong one. These girls back here. Yeah, no, it's amazing, Becky. And I've said it before, and I will say it again every time. See, look, here you can see different colors in the pollen. I don't know if you caught that or not. I hope you did. Let's see, there's some, there we go, side by side. But on this colony here, still working on knowing where my lens is, by the way. So sometimes I'll shove the camera out towards a thing and I'm pointed at something else entirely and I don't even realize it. So professional cameraman, I am not. Sorry about that. Anyway, on this colony, when we had this, it was the brown box, similar to this one down there. We had the hole cut out at the base. There was no bottom board here. They just came and went from that hole. And they were familiar with that. We gave them a new box, gave them a new entrance, and one would think, without any experience, one would think that that's going to take them some time and they're going to have to figure that out and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, it has taken them no time at all. They're coming and going just as easily as you please. That was a corpse. I don't know if you saw her or not, but I just got her off the entrance. But they're coming and going just as easily as you please. It took them no time at all. You even see here along the side that we have fewer bees now trying to come and go from that gap. They're beginning to figure it out. And you're always going to have bees walking around, or at least when it's warm outside, you're always going to have bees walking around on the outside. So that's too easy. Do we have any other questions? I don't even know what time it is. I think, about 40 minutes. That's not bad. That's actually a pretty good video, wouldn't you think? We'll do about 5 more minutes before I'm just going to be tired of talking. That, and I think I feel a bee walking around on my rib cage. So it's honestly exciting. Except not really. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Entrance reducer. Right here, this block. This honestly, they can have access to this entrance all the way across. However, we put an entrance reducer in there to block off half of it. Honestly, it just gives them less space to guard. Now that I'm talking about that, I just realized that this colony right next to them, actually, I got 2 that need an entrance reducer. I don't know if I have one around here. So what we are going to do is find a makeshift entrance reducer. Bev, in Augusta, Georgia, no, we do not have any more colonies down there. He and my mom have actually moved, a couple of years ago, they actually moved back up here to Louisville as well. After I moved up here and married Danetta, they decided that they wanted to be up here closer to myself and my brother, who also lives here in Louisville, Jason, and Angela, our sister, lives in Nashville, so they're much closer to each of us this way. So no, we brought everything up with us once we all moved. Well, I thought I had a good idea for an entrance reducer. I've got one right here. It looks like, let me flip this back around. There we go. Looks like they're using this side pretty heavily. So I am going to block off. Hi, girls. Yep, get out of the way. There we go. I'm gonna block off that side. And that way now we have a reduced entrance there. We still have a little bit of a gap there, but that's okay. And now I need to find one more way to block that entrance. And yeah, you know, you can see what I did. I mean, it's just a matter of finding a stick that will fit into that space, and you block it off, and you help protect your colony from I don't want to use the word invasion, but you help them from pests or whatnot coming in. And there we go. And they can still kind of come in and go out a little bit there. So they've got plenty of space to come and go. Easy enough, huh? So what do we think, guys? Do we think videos of how much I love bees and just trying to share that experience with anybody and everybody who has an interest in it, do you think that's viable? Do you think maybe I need to be intentionally informative? I mean, you're gonna, you know, you talk about bees, you talk about something that is new to another person, they're gonna learn things even by accident. So it's not necessarily my intention to be educational, but it is gonna happen. So I'm not trying to stop that, but you know, there's so many channels out there, and they're great channels. I watch a lot of them myself. There's so many channels out there that are already how-to channels, and I just thought, do something different. All right, so this is kind of cool. Look at this. You know that burr comb that we had earlier that I showed you that was cut back in the back? As we were cutting that off, we just had to put that where we could just to get it out of our way so that we could continue to work. Well, some of that honey got into this lid right here. So we put the lid on. That honey has now drained. Ooh, hey girl. Has drained down the front here of the colony, and you can see them in lines up and down the hive, gathering up that that honey to get it back into their cells, into their colony. It's kind of cool. Okay, she's telling me to back off. I'm too close to her. Yes, girl. Okay, I'm backing off. So that's kind of neat. Okay, so Becky, you're saying just kind of do what I'm doing. Show off the bees. React to the immediate scenario and kind of just call it a day, huh? I do intend, I won't always necessarily be able to do lives. You know, for instance, today, while we were working, I would love to be able to get some video footage of us working. Unfortunately, while we're working, I've got to, you know, work. And frankly, if I had also been trying to focus on working and manipulate this camera, it might have kind of pissed me off. You know, I mean, I gotta work. So, I've talked to some friends about coming out and doing some camera work for me, where we would do a recording and then maybe do some editing to it. Because, I mean, let's face it, you get stung. Generally, that's immediately followed by a bad word. And I don't necessarily... Tripod is good, but I can't necessarily do close-ups, you know? And I can't stop working to go grab the camera and come in and say, oh, come here and look at this. However, if I've got somebody operating a camera for me that doesn't necessarily want to keep bees or work with bees, they could just manipulate the camera and maybe even serve a second function of asking some questions about what it is specifically that I'm doing. I can talk while I work, I just can't record while I work. Or they can just kind of stand in the background and quietly let Dad and I talk back and forth. Today, actually, we realized that it was just going to take so much time that instead of working the hive individually, I mean, like just one hive at a time together, we actually decided to split our efforts, and he took one and I took the other, and we just kind of talked back and forth about what we were seeing as we worked, and that honestly kind of increased our efficiency. But again, I'm not going to be able to manipulate a camera while I do that. However, while I'm working the hives, while we are working the hives, I certainly would love to be able to get some of that footage. And like I said, I've got a couple of folks that I've been talking to that they've shown some interest in at least being near the bees while it was active, or while we were active, but they also wouldn't mind holding a camera and going that route. So we'll do some recordings, you know, maybe store up some of those so that when I'm not able to do a live, I'll have some recordings at least so that I can still be consistent in getting videos up onto the channel. Have fun. Educate with humor. Well, I can certainly do that. We gotta get out here and cut the grass. I don't know how many bee yards you've been around, but I've been around quite a few, not just my own or our own, but other beekeepers as well. And one of the things that I've noticed is that the grass tends to get a little tall around the beehives because you can't really get up next to them with a mower very easily for obvious reasons. You don't want to bump into them, you don't want to shake them or anything like that. So that leaves you with the weed eater. The thing about the weed eater is it produces an extremely high pitch where the bees are concerned, and it ticks them off. And so we'd rather just reach down and grab handfuls of the grass and pull it up and leave it alone, because it's just a lot of bees, especially when you got them mad at you because you got the weed eater out, even though you are trying to help them. I mean, whatever. Anyway, it's you pick your battles, and we never really pick that one until we don't have a choice. Okay, so I think that's it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I got some other things that I need to do, all bee related today, and I'll try to snag some video of that. Maybe we can cut some stuff together. And that's the other thing. I'm going to have to learn how to be an editor for, you know, a video editor, videographer. I don't know what they're called, but I'll have to learn what they're called so that I can call myself that thing. But we'll keep it going. I don't know that I'll necessarily be able to do every Saturday. I know that another thing that some of the how-to YouTubers talked about being consistent with how you release your videos and all that kind of stuff. And it makes a lot of sense what they say. But I don't know if that's necessarily what I'm going to be able to do. Simply because, you know, I have a work schedule and I'm not trying to make a living on YouTube. I am trying to have some fun. I'm trying to share that fun with any of you who are willing to come along for the journey. Definitely going to be giving large shout outs to all of you who were among the first to join. All right, so here, look, we got a bumblebee looking like he's going to be trying to get in. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he changed his mind. I was hoping you're going to get to see some excitement. Anyway, definitely going to do some shout outs. Becky, I haven't forgotten that we talked earlier in the year about collaboration, and so I will get back with you on that, especially now that I'm moving forward with a YouTube channel. We'll have to get together. I didn't bring my coffee cup. Shoot. Becky made me this really cool coffee cup. She sent it to me as a surprise, and I really love it. I drink coffee from it all the time. It's sparkled honeycomb. It's, you know, glittery kind of stuff. It looks like honeycomb with honey dripping down the side of it. It's really neat. Everywhere I take my mug, everybody knows that's Justin's coffee cup. So anybody know where Justin is? Because he's obviously set his coffee cup down and completely forgotten about it again, which is kind of my MO. But it's a signature cup, and it's really neat. I absolutely love it. So thank you for that. And next time, Becky, I'll actually remember my coffee mug so that I can show that off for you, because that was really cool. All right, guys. So that's it. Again, continue to make your comments, offer suggestions, send me messages on Facebook if you don't want to comment to the video necessarily. But either way, I'm looking for ideas. What are some of the things that you would like for me to talk about? And we'll see what we can do. I'll get to all of them. I'll address all of them, maybe multiple in the same video, or maybe we'll do, oh, dang, we missed it. She did, right down there on the ground. Can you see? That dumb bumblebee tried to get into that hive and got talked out of it real quick. But now a lot of that is this honey that's running along the side, and that honey that we had over there, it's gotten onto several things. And so there's a heavy scent, especially at their perception levels. There's a lot of honey scent in the air. And so other sweet nectar eating insects are going to smell that, and they're going to be attracted to that. So the bees are going to have their work cut out for them. That's another reason for these entrance reducers. They don't have as much space to guard. And that's exactly what I was talking about when we talked about the entrance reducers earlier. That bumblebee tried to get in and got talked out of it real quick. So, all right, guys, that's that. I think I have talked long enough. Thank you all for helping me reach my first hour of viewing on YouTube. We've actually probably gone quite a bit beyond that. So thank you very much for that. And we will talk soon.